all the good stuff, and we need to be grateful. I am not an optimistic person. I am very fortunate in that I am surrounded by optimistic people. That's always a good thing. So it's great to come together and daven and pray the way we would prefer. There's the story of the young yeshiva bacher who wanted Mashiach to come. Of course, it's Poland. Of course, it's the winter, and it's freezing cold. And the young man spends night and day in the Beis Medrash, in the study hall. And once in a while, his mother brings him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is an amusing anachronism. Crunchy or plain? Crunchy or smooth? What kind of peanut butter did they eat in Poland? Smooth. Okay, very good. No, they didn't have peanut butter? Well, yes, that's true. Well, anyway, so every day he's studying, he's learning by himself, he's learning with a friend, and his kavana, his intention is that Mashiach should come. And from time to time, of course, his mother and father, as I said, come to call upon him and make sure he's okay. And then one night it's freezing cold and the snow is blowing. I spoke this afternoon with our dear friend Sharon Gilbert out in Utah, and she said they got 8 inches of snow, which is really not considerable if you're from New England. But she said the ski area's got 30 inches. Okay, so Poland, they got 30 inches of snow. And all of a sudden the door opens and the young man looks up with great eagerness and alacrity. And what does he see? Does he see Mashiach wearing white and gold robes with a white donkey? No, indeed. He sees a poor, raggedy man. And the yeshiva bacher says, what do you want? And the poor, raggedy man says, I'm freezing. Can I just sit here by the fire for a few minutes? And the young man says, no, he says, we don't allow homeless people into this synagogue. He says, you have to leave right now. And the old man says, well, he's getting older by the minute. He says, I'm so cold. Couldn't I just sit here for a couple of minutes? He says, no, leave. Well, the old man leaves. And just a few minutes later, the young man's rabbi father shows up, and the rabbi teases him and says, well, he says, since I saw you last, has Mashiach come? Has anyone come to the Beis Medrash? And the young man shrugs his shoulders and says kind of sadly, no, just one person. He says, oh, one person, was it Mashiach? He says, no, it was just a raggedy old man. And the rabbi says, what did you do? He says, I chased him out into the snow where he belongs. How dare he come into this Beis Medrash? And the father shakes his finger at him and he says, but don't you know? That old man could have been Mashiach. And now that you chased him away, who knows when he'll come again? The point is, issues come, issues go, troubles come, troubles go, but the poor are always with us. Somebody once said, God must love the poor. He made so many of them. It is our obligation to care for and to uplift the members of American society who don't have, with all these millions of people unemployed. So I'm not sure how we can do that, but if we put our heads together, something will arise. I'm very happy about the JAFCO project for Hanukkah. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. And now we'll hear from our wonderful Chazan. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Page 14. ידי לנפש אהבה רחמה, ידי לנפש אהבה רחמה, ושוכב לך, ארצו לך.
משוכבך, ידי רצונך. ירוץ עבדך כמו ים, ישתחווה אל מול עדניך. 15. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. דריה בצורי שלנו, פלמה בתודה. דריה בצורי שלנו, בזמינו דריה. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני.
Reading silently to the bottom of 15.
40 שנה קום בדור, ואומר עבדוי לבבל, והם לא ידעו דברך, אשר נשבעתי באפי, אם יבואו אל מלוכתי.
Okay.
Si no sabía, sí. Shirul Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shirul Adonai, Kol Haaretz. Shirul Adonai, Shemot, Basru Miyom Leyom, Yeshuato, Zapru Bakolim Kevodo, Kechol Ha'amim Nifleotav, King Adon. Adonai, umekula mejor, Okay, the bottom of the page. ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותענה הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותענה הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים, ולא ירם הים, ירם הים, ולא יעלו. Sarai וכל אשר בו עשייה לנו, כל הצייד, לפני אדוני קיבה, לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט בצדק, בעמים אמונתו. Okay. So we do a little jump to page number 21.
Okay.
A little jump to page
Jump to 21.
number 21.
Yes. There we
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Jump. Okay.
I'm not from the jumpers.
Muy bien. Dejando cara, de capela, dejando cara, de capela. Shabbat, מכל הפלח קדוש מקדש וכסוף מעשה במחשבה התחילה גדולי מקדש שבת קבלה גדולי מקדש ושבת נקבלה.
22, fourth stanza. Please rise.
Hoy ושלום הפרק בנה גם לשמחה ובצונתו חמודי הסגולה בואו ניכלה בואו ניכלה אליך אדוני Nikakala, Sing the word.
Okay. All right, 23. 23.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולשמח לשכה עליון, ולשמח לשכה עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי אסון עלי כבד, עלי היגיון וכינור, מזמור שיר יום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולשמח לשכה עליון, ולשמח לשכה עליון. שימחתני אדוני בפועליך במעשה ידיך רנן. הגדלו מעשיך אדוני מאוד, המקום מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר יום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולשמח לשכה עליון, ולשמח לשכה עליון.
And we continue silently to the bottom of 23.
צדיק כתמר יפרח יפרח, צדיק כתמר יפרח, צדיק כתמר יפרח יפרח, צדיק כתמר יפרח, כרז ולבנו נזכה, 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 שתולים בבית אדוני בחצות אלוהינו יפריחו שטורים בבית אדוני בחצות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינומור בסביבה דשני מורננו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עבדתו עוד ינומור בסביבה דשני מורננו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עבדתו.
Okay. All right. We are before the Baruch Hu. Time for my remarks. The Torah portion. Okay. Well, this Torah portion, as I've said before, Genesis. Yes.
Can we say the remarks of Rabbi Mark?
Save them. Oh, you mean in general?
The remark of Rabbi Mark.
Yes. Yes. Well. Okay. Very clever. All right. Sorry. Well, this particular Torah reading deals with the conclusion of the Abraham saga, and we move on to Isaac. I don't want to belabor the point about Isaac. We'll be spending some time with him, except to say he is the weakest link in the patriarchal chain. But he has a secret weapon, his wife. As we all know, behind every successful man stands an exhausted woman. And that held truth even then. But what I'm going to talk about now is Chaye Sarah. Chaye Sarah means the life of Sarah. And it's altogether, most commentaries today, you won't find this in the classical commentaries, believe that Sarah died of shock when she heard that her beloved husband was about to sacrifice their beloved son, for whom she had waited so long. And it's not easy giving birth at the age of 99. I won't say try it sometime, but, or is it 90? Anyway, she dies, and Abraham does something which is not only religious, it is also political. He decides, because he's living in that particular section, that he's going to buy the cave of Machpelah and use it as a burial place for his wife. The problem is the cave of Machpelah is still known. It's still there. They can't prove whether anybody is buried there or not, but apparently back in the day, the place to be buried was the cave, was Marata Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah. Everybody's buried there. Adam and Eve and Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebecca, and also Jacob and Leah. Not Rachel. Poor Rachel died on the road, and she has her own Kever Rachel, her own tomb of Rachel, which is really kind of nice. It's all stone, and it's pretty permanent, and it's also a go-to place for couples who are suffering from infertility, because that was her fate for so many years. In this particular instance, we have the very first person buried in the cave of Machpelah. And why is it controversial? Because it's in Hebron. Now, Hebron is a very important Palestinian city, except that there are a number of religious Jews living there as well, and it's a tough neighborhood. I'm not going to go into the details. You can look that up. Just Google Hebron. But at this particular time, the Hittites are living in the land. We know that Hittite civilization was fairly advanced. They are also a Semitic people. And Abraham is living among the Hittites, and he's pretty well respected. He's a stand-up guy. He's a sheikh, that is a desert chieftain. He has lots of cattle, and he takes care of them. So therefore, he musters up his courage and goes to speak with the Hittite town council, which is sitting, as they customarily did in those days, by the town gate. And he needs to talk to Ephron Hachiti, Ephron the Hittite, who owns the cave of Machpelah. And Abraham is not feeling too copacetic. He just lost his wife of so many years, and he would like to take care of the business. Because, you know, in Judaism, it says, Ki kavor tikbarenu, you shall surely bury, which is where we have the custom of speedy burial. Now, that was what they did in, again, Europe and the other countries we lived. But nowadays, you are allowed, God forbid, to delay the burial to allow the family to arrive, which seems to be the most common reason, the rabbi to arrive, other arrangements to be made, and so on and so forth. But in this instance, all the players are in the same place, and Abraham goes to Ephron and says, I want to buy your cave. Ephron is probably the epitome of all used car salesmen everywhere. I have nothing against used car salesmen, but it's that same kind of slash and grab method of doing business, where Ephron says, my lord, you are a prince among us. Why should anyone hinder you? Go forth and bury your dead. But Abraham is no fish to be caught by that worm, because he knows that if Ephron gives him the cave without a bill of sale, he could change his mind and come back, and poor Abraham has his loved one buried in a foreign cave and doesn't know what to do. So Abraham says, listen, let's cut to the chase. I'm in shock here. I lost my wife. My own part in her demise we will not acknowledge at this point. Let me buy that cave. So Ephron says, my lord, got that oily tone to him. He says, what is 400 shekels between you and me? Give me the 400 shekels. The cave is yours. Go bury your dead. Under normal circumstances, 400 shekels is a lot of grush to put out to buy a cave. But Abraham just wants to go on, take care of the business, bury his wife, and go on with his life. Not that he'll forget her, not that he certainly will miss her. And he has a particular way of burying his grief. At this point, God to do something about Isaac. He's getting old in the tooth, and he needs a missus, because Abraham knows his boy well enough, whose spirit he shattered himself at the sacrifice, to know that Isaac by himself is not going to be half so successful as he would be with a loving wife who cares about him and is prepared to stand up for him. So Abraham equips his chief butler, his chief servant, Eliezer, and gives him lots of camels, lots of jewelry, and they're on their way back to the land of the east, so that Abraham can find a wife for his boy, somebody appropriate who is a member of the family. This is the first instance in Judaism of anyone marrying their first cousin. Now, I'm not going to go into detail, but I know other communities where these things happened and the offspring were, well, never mind. But that's what happens. Eliezer is riding along on his camel and making deals with God, whom he's very polite to refer to as the God of my master Abraham. He says, God of my master Abraham, we're going to come to town eventually, and I want you to be cognizant of my need and my mission. The first, I'm going to ask whichever girl comes out first if she will water my camels and myself and my men. And whoever says yes, she's the bride for Isaac. Now, this is really kind of a roundabout way of matchmaking, but because it's the Torah and because God is firmly in the background, moving the chess pieces around, it indeed happens that Eliezer holds up at the watering hole, at the trough, whatever it is. That was the center of town, by the way. It was sort of like, remember when you were a kid, the important business didn't take place in the living room. Nobody even went into the living room except to watch TV. The important business always takes place in the kitchen. And here it is, right by the watering hole. So he gets off the camel, says that prayer, door of a nearby house opens up, beautiful young girl comes out, boom, she is Rebecca, the daughter of Lavan, Rivka bat Lavan. And immediately, without being asked, she says, my master, I will water you, your camels, anyone else who comes along. And she immediately starts to work, and she's very industrious, and you could tell that she's worked out, she's fit. She goes down to the Haran Health Club every so often and lifts weights, and she's able to schlep those water jugs around really with ease. Anyway, he stands there. It's a beautiful bit of sentimental writing. You don't usually find this in the Torah. And the servant stood there and marveled that his prayer was so quickly answered. And then, as reward, he gives her a couple of rings for her fingers and a nice big one for her schnoz. Apparently, the nose ring has come back again. And I personally, I say, hey, sweetie, you want to wear it, gesundheit hate. But it's not my particular taste. In this instance, however, they're firmly in the right. It's what, 4,000 BCE, probably more than that. She goes back home, and who is the first one to notice that Rivka has picked up some jewelry? Her rascally brother Lavan, who comes running out and says to Eliezer, my master, he says, why are you lingering out here? Come home. We will give provender to you and your cattle and the camels and all that. Be great. Takes him home. He sits down. They wash his feet. They say, here, what do you want to eat? He says, I will not eat until I tell my tale, because he has to be relieved of his burden, because he made an oath to Avram. And he tells them the story. And for the first and only time in the Torah, they say to the young woman, do you want to go with this guy? And she says, sure. They asked her consent. They never ask a woman's consent for anything in the Torah, because, come on, it's ancient literature. And she goes, she's on her own camel, they're riding along, and Isaac, who's a bit of a luftmensch, he likes to take a spazier, he likes to take a little stroll in the fields as the sun is setting. And of course, the rabbis couldn't just say he's a luftmensch because he's one of the patriarchs. They said, he's davening mincha. That's what he's doing. He's doing the afternoon service, must be, because we know that Avraham invented shacharit, the morning service, so Isaac invented mincha, which is shorter, frankly. But anyway, she gets off. As soon as she sees him, il folgore, she is struck by the lightning bolt. Although generally you do not find romantic love in the Torah at all. And she gets off, and they meet, and it doesn't say anything about a marriage ceremony, but I'm sure they had a lovely affair. And on the way out, they always give you a copy of the New York Daily News and a bag of bagels. So she comes into the tent, and she cleans it up, and she makes Shabbos. And I always love that bit, because what happens is, I'm just thinking, these two men living together in the tent, the place is a mess. It's got takeout food boxes all over the place. He's got DoorDash on speed dial. And she comes in, she's a balabusta, she cleans up, she throws out, she puts away, and then she makes Shabbos. That is a wonderful, wonderful picture. So, and Isaac marries her, and he is comforted over the loss of his mother. There's a lot of business with the Pilagshim, with the concubines later for Abraham, but we're not going to get into that tonight. Okay, thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. Chazan, anything to add? Can't touch this. Can't touch this. Okay, thank you. All right. All right, so we'll rise for the Baruch Hu. Chazan, is your microphone? Hello?
It's okay.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Baruch hu et Adonai Amorah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Boed.
Baruch Adonai Amorah. Leolam Boed.
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעלים הרבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובעדונה משניתים ומחלים את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמורותיהם, ברקיע כרצונו, בורא יום בלילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום, ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעמל, ברוך אתה אדוני, עמלים ועלמים.
Amen. All right, page 29.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ולמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי חיינו לאורך ימינו, לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם, יומם ולילה, ואהבת קל תשם לעולמי, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. On page 30, we cover the eyes for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Uncover the eyes. Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto, Leolam Vohed. Let's read the English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day, you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Recite them at home and away, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. We'll read silently to the end of the tzitzit paragraph on 31.
Adonai Elohim Emet.
32.
אמת ואמונה כל יסוד וקיים עלינו, כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ואין זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל. In the middle of the page, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 מלכות שרה ומלך מוקע משה סריאנו ואנו אדוני ימלוך בעודם באים ונאמר כפרעון יד יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amen. All right, on page 33, this is the prayer for healing. And I have to say, never before in our lives has there been a plague, a disease similar to this. And it's getting worse. So we ask ourselves, what can we possibly do? And we know that a cure will come. It is a matter of time. But this can be but cold comfort for the suffering thousands of people and for their extended families. And sometimes, like Job, there is no explanation. There is only silence. So let's keep in our minds folks we don't know, folks we've never met, those whose lives are precious and dear to us, to our country, to the world, and to God. Reading together the paragraph on 33. And we're also thinking about our friends Jeff Stern and Jerry Besson, wishing them refuah shlema, kenahara. Thank God they do not have COVID, but they are facing their challenges. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praised you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people Israel, over Jerusalem and the entire world. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo,
Borei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol haolam kulo. Amen. And page 34 of the Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולדורם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולדורם. Beni Omer Mene Israel, Odi Leolam, Odi Leolam, Veshamru Bene Israel, Et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו
בני ישראל
את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי
שבת
וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Half Kaddish.
יתגדל ונתקדש שם רבה.
Amen.
ועלמא דיברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחיי יום אחד וחיי לכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב. במרוה יש רבה מבורך. לעולם ולעולם והיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהלל ויתהלל
Shemer Krishabrehu.
ונביא כל ברכתה ושירתה שכתב
Yamida, page 36, 35B to page 38. When you're done, you may be seated.
Shalom, Shalom, Imbroma, Shalom, Shalom, Imbroma, Shalom, Shalom,
Bottom of 38.
Shalom, Shalom, Bimbroma. Hu Yosef. Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, ve'kol Israel v'imru Amen. Da 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 la la da 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 la 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 da 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 la 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 da 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 da.
All right, page 48, the full Kaddish.
Amen. בעלמא דברי חילותי וימליך מלכות וחיי כל ויום יכל וחיי וכל בית ישראל. מגלה וזמגלה ואימרו.
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ויום היה, ויתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וזרוע מנעשה, ויתהלל שמי קודשה,
Richu.
וירא מן כל בריחתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה מן המרמה ואמרו.
Amen.
תתקבל את צלותנו ובטוב לכל ישראל, קדמה ונשמע ואמרו.
Amen.
יהי שלום הרבה משמיא, ויקדש לנו לכל ישראל ואמרו.
Amen.
עושה שלום מפרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו.
Amen. Okay.
עלינו.
Yelenu, page 51, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לנו לכל, לתת ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו גילויי ארצות, ולא שמנו למשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקותיהם, ויגון עלינו ככל עמונה. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שאונות לשמיים ויוסד לארץ, מושב יקרו בשמיים למעל, שכינתו בגומר ברבונים. הוא אלוהינו אלוהינו, אמן מלכנו אפס זולתו, כקדום בתורתו, ידעת היום וידעת היום אשר אותי לבדך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ומלמעלה, ועל הארץ איתקדנו אינו. ונאמר וקרא אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
This time we find the mourner's Kaddish. Kristallnacht was observed over the past couple of weeks. We are also, as I said before, in the midst of our own plague. And the question might arise, if it's somebody I don't know, if it's someone who may not even be Jewish, why should I say Kaddish for them? And I recall in rabbinical school where one of my teachers, the man had 2 PhDs, Rabbi Dr. Robert Aronowitz, a very sweet and kind and wise man. He said the custom is that if you're walking in the street and a funeral cortege goes by, even if it's not Jewish, you still walk a few steps in that direction, the kavod hamet, to honor the deceased person. So I'm going to ask you at this time, of course, there's Kristallnacht to remember, but our more recent tragedy, please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba.
Amen.
Yalma divra chilutei v'yamlich machutei. V'chayechon v'mechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. V'agalo v'zman kariv v'imru amen.
אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי רמיה יתברך.
Yiporach, v'yishtabach, v'yipo'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha b'richu.
בריחו.
V'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran ba'alma v'yimru amen.
אמן.
Hey shlama rabba min shemaya. Chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Ose shalom b'mamav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen.
All right, please be seated. And our own very dear Rita Fleming Klein.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Wonderful to be with you. I'm feeling extremely thankful, not only because Thanksgiving is coming, but in thinking about that holiday, I feel so grateful to be a member of this wonderful, generous, kind congregation, to serve as your president, and now to have Stan Eisen by my side as vice president. Temple is in the most wonderful position in regard to everyone who volunteers to do wonderful things for Temple. I want to thank all of you for your support for the Jafco Hanukkah Toy Project. We will now, as of Thursday, have provided Hanukkah gifts for 60 children. And it's absolutely amazing. As soon as the call went out, all of you answered. And I can't tell you what that means for my heart, what it means for Temple, because Jafco remembers Temple Shalom from last year. We always put a little paper dreidel on each toy with the name of the child whose wish list that toy was on, and that's how they remember us. We will be delivering those toys just after Thanksgiving. So if you see something that you like, that you just fall in love with a toy, it doesn't have to be on the wish list, and you'd like to donate, please do so. Amazon delivers to Temple. You don't have to go in stores. But as of now, we have an amazing amount of gifts to bring to Jafco. Another thing I'm thankful for is when our little advertisement went out for the Thanksgiving dinners that are going to be available for pickup on Thanksgiving morning. We put in a tiny little blurb. Doreen is so marvelous with that, and Joni as well. Just a tiny little sentence. If you would like to contribute a dinner for a Temple member who cannot afford that, that would be so lovely. What a mitzvah that would be. Well, of course, we had a response, and we had a response immediately. And we will be able to take care of members who are in a struggle during these very difficult times. And that's the Jafco Project, and that you have so kindly done that for dinners for Thanksgiving. That's the heart and soul of our temple. Rabbi and Cantor represent the heart and soul of our temple every day of the week. And these projects mirror that. We are blessed in every way, and I am particularly blessed with all of you. I had a phone call from one of our members and her daughter, from Sherry Hutzler and her daughter Alana, who want to make phone calls to people who are living alone. Just one day the phone rang and they said, we decided we'd like to do that. And they've been, Alana was bat mitzvah at Temple, Aiden, their son, bar mitzvah, and this beautiful family just wants to do something wonderful for us, as all of you do. We are truly blessed. I'm going to go quickly over the scheduling. If you want to order your Thanksgiving dinner, the last day of ordering will be on Monday, the 23rd, pickup will be on Thanksgiving morning. On Monday and Thursday, join the cantor at 8:30 in the morning for the minyan, the absolute best way to start the day. On Monday at 10 o'clock, join Laura Durant's Aging Gracefully group, a great way in these particularly tough times to really talk about the things that are on our minds and to meet new people and to become part of a very, very vital group. Wednesdays is our educational day, beginning with Cantor's class on the Torah at 8:30 in the morning, and Rabbi's class at 4 o'clock and at 7 o'clock. And then on Friday, we're again blessed with Rabbi's class at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It has been on Kabbalah.
Yes.
There's been a fantastic reaction to it. Check the website. You'll see everything we're planning for you. I'm not going to tell you much about Hanukkah right now, but we have a lovely plan for the first night of Hanukkah, which falls on Shabbat. And it's going to be
the second night.
Oh, the second night.
The second.
Second night. That's right. That's right. That's going to be on Friday, December 10th. And it's just going to be a beautiful, very special, uplifting, and happy service. And we can celebrate Hanukkah together. So my wishes to you and your families to stay safe and well and have a very sweet Shabbos. Join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock for services.
Thank you. Wonderful. Always wonderful.
Okay, so we are going to finish singing the Adonolam.
Yes.
Yes.
You got it.
Okay, so on page number 54, we sing Adonolam. Adonolam, Asher Malach, V'terem kol,
Yitzir
Nivra, Le'nasa, V'chepso kol, Asai melech, Shemo nikra.
Be'acharei
לא תקום לבדו
Levado
ימלוך לעולם והיה והוא והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד משני והשילו והחירה ולראשית ולתכלית ולא העוז ועם ישראל והוא אלי וצריוולי וצורכב לי וצלה והוא ניסי ומנופי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי ותישן והגירה עם רוחי בביאתי אדוני ודירה
Allah Paterem Kol Yitzkin Evrayim. Okay, please rise, closing benediction. Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. We'll say amen.
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 Before Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat.
Everybody's unmuted. You can chit chat. You're all unmuted.
I forgot something. Game night is Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Don't miss it. It's not the first thing that I usually go to the weekly schedule, but that Sunday night game night is wonderful. Look on the website. Doreen has provided the way to get into it, and you will have a ball.
Okay. No matter what.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. We meet tomorrow at 10.
10 a.m.
10 o'clock.
Good job, everybody. Tomorrow morning. Bye, Ben.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Night.